Okay, time to review Alien Romulus. What the heck is this? Who left this on my desk? Oh! No! Get it off me! So Alien Romulus is now the 7th installment in the Alien franchise, and this time around we are following a group of space colonizers. They work on a mining planet for the Weyland Corporation and have now found a way to possibly escape their work life. However, this escape plan does come with a cost, coming face to face with the deadliest creature in space. And that's all. Pretty much not got any spoilers to you guys. This will be a spoiler-free review. Where do I begin on this glorious movie? Giving you a small background on my thoughts on the Alien franchise, while I didn't just buy that costume for the cringy intro, I'm in the middle of my in-depth review of the entire 6-film series that we have so far, up until this one. So you'll get an in-depth analysis on what I think of each entry, but overall, I love this franchise. There's really only one movie in this series I don't particularly like, but the Alien franchise has just consistently evolved, stayed fresh. Heck, even on my drive to go see my screening of this movie, I thought I maybe made a bad decision of rewatching all the Alien movies in preparation for this one, because I felt like I now kind of set a really high bar, and I remember now how great those films are, all for different reasons. But I was like, we're 7 movies in, man. Like, what else can you do in here to make it different, fun, entertaining, or even just have me interested? I felt like maybe we have gone the distance with Xenomorphs, and oh boy, Fede Alvarez. You knocked it out of the park. There are so many things to love about this movie, and I have a couple of criticisms too, which I'll get to. But starting off, Fede Alvarez, the director in here, he was the main thing that got me jumping up and down from excitement when they announced this movie. While everybody will love the Alien franchise for different reasons, I do think it is one of those series that maybe got caught up in leaning more into the action side and leaving behind a lot of the horror elements. I felt like there was a reason Prometheus and Alien Covenant didn't just exactly connect with general audiences back then, and is why we unfortunately never got the third entry, Alien Awakening, that I know a lot of people still wanted to see. And I feel like it was at that point in the franchise it traded in those action and horror elements for more philosophical things, more bigger ideas, things that I felt really alienated, no pun intended, what most audiences just enjoyed out of an Alien film. Like, yeah, there's a lot of grand things in this universe, but also at the end of the day, it's a slasher movie. It's a creature feature. It's that basic formula of a group of characters on a mission. This horrifying, indestructible being shows up and then causes bloody chaos. Give me something entertaining with that formula. Fede Alvarez, I think, definitely did that. Coming from a horror background, he injected a great amount of horror in here. There's some truly horrifying sequences in here, a lot of suspense, so many moments that I think will keep you on the edge of your seat and going, oh, dang, this is crazy. There were a couple of times throughout this movie where I actually sat up, leaned forward, and I was just fully locked into what was happening. Another big praise of the movie is going to the cast. Now, this was something that was getting a lot of backlash when the movie was announced. Teenagers? Why are you bringing teens into Alien? What is this? I kid you not, I saw it a lot in my comment section, and it was like one of the most hated things when the first trailer dropped. Well, I'm happy to say these teenagers aren't really teenagers, more like young adults, and they're great. Great as in they serve the purpose they need to in this movie. You're not going to see like any Oscar-worthy performances in here, but the main highlights for me were, of course, Cailee Spaeny, who's been having a spectacular year so far. Really loved her in Civil War, and there's always kind of big shoes to fill when you're considered the Ripley of this movie, but she really holds her own and was really easy to root for and want to make it out of this terrible situation. But the honest surprise character that rivals Cailee Spaeny in here, David Jonsson. David Jonsson in here plays Andy, a synthetic android. That isn't a spoiler. They make it very clear in the trailers. And man, the androids have always been a fascinating part of the Alien universe. Like, you could do an entire movie just focusing on them, and they kind of tried to with Prometheus and Covenant, right? But I mean, a whole movie where you just focus on the android side of the Alien universe without any aliens at all? I'd watch that. But to me, it was very interesting to see play out. The backstory of where this synthetic android comes from and the way it plays into the story adds for a lot of suspenseful moments. Not just that, but a lot of conflicting emotions on the actions this android takes from time to time throughout the movie. Its story is never as compelling as David Michael Fassbender from Prometheus and Covenant, but it was still just a nice element thrown in the movie. And in fact, that's another giant positive about this film. While I will say, you don't necessarily have to watch any previous Alien movie to like or enjoy this one. It's set between Alien 1 and Aliens. That's when Romulus is happening. And any vital plot points from the previous Alien movie in here is quickly explained and you're not left in the dark if you didn't catch that movie. But for those of us who have seen all 6 of the previous entries, lots of Easter eggs, a lot of fun ones, things in the background, little things you're like, oh my God, that's from that. And whoa, they brought that in there. And even the story mimics a lot of elements from all the other movies. It's like Fede Alvarez literally looked at every movie and was like, okay, I like this. Let me throw that in there. Oh, I like they did that. Oh, let me throw that in there too. And I was continuously surprised as someone who just spent last week rewatching all the movies. It was really nice to see him blend and weave in all these elements from every Alien movie and somehow make it work into one story. And all of that to me just kind of worked. It felt like a celebration of everything that came before it. Now, some people might think, oh, that's a negative then, Chris. They're not doing anything new. The thing I love about Alien is when they add lore, when they expand on the xenomorphs. I love that too. And while I'm not going to promise a giant expansion of the lore, I do think they expanded in a bit, and they definitely do a lot of new things. The third act of this movie is so bonkers wild. I don't want to overhype it, because I was seeing already a lot of people overhype it, and I thought in the movie we had gotten to the third act, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know if it's that crazy, and I'm like, oh no, now we're in the third act. This is good. Jaw to the ground most of the last 10-15 minutes of this movie. And even on that subject, things that we were familiar with, face huggers, xenomorphs, Fed does something new with them. There's a zero gravity sequence in this movie that is teased in the trailers. Oh God, that is so gorgeous. You get a very suspenseful sequence involving a hallway of face huggers that I was like, oh, that's nice. I like that. That's different. So even though it was introducing its own newer elements, old tropes into the Alien franchise, it had a different spin on them, and I thought that was cool. The thing I was most hopeful with Fede Alvarez being attached to this movie is the horror elements, and they're there, but it also doesn't stay back from the action elements. The fun sci-fi nature of this world as well is implemented in, so Fede did a good job of balancing the things I was hoping to see while still keeping stuff that other fans enjoy from the franchise. Last big positive I want to give for this movie is I thought it was breathtaking. I thought Covenant and Prometheus might have been the best looking Alien movies in the series. Like, I just think the cinematography, VFX in Covenant and Prometheus really outstanding. I'm thinking now Alien Romulus is the best looking movie. There are so many absolutely gorgeous shots and visuals in here, from the xenomorphs attacking to the new things they implement to the red lights. I just caught myself a couple of times watching this movie in IMAX, which I do recommend, going, this looks gorgeous. This looks beautiful. And a lot of the beautiful shots in this movie could also be credited to the practical effects that they threw in this movie. You might have seen a lot of the behind the scenes photos and stills. They had people in actual xenomorph suits doing that once again. I think they brought on the same team that worked on Aliens. But even with the facehuggers, there was a lot of robotic facehuggers that were made for this movie. And that practical tangibility of the sets really immerse you into the alien world. So with that in mind, now let me jump into the things I'm mixed and negative about. And I'm just going to be honest, I really don't have that many negative things to say. In fact, I'm just looking forward to the next time I can watch this movie. If I really had to narrow down some things, is one, I do think it takes a bit to get going. The first act of this movie is, meeting the characters, setting up their mission, how these xenomorphs are there, that kind of stuff. And even in the middle of the movie, I feel like some people might be going, what are we leading to? What's going on here? But dude, that third act really has the movie ending on a super strong note. I mentioned the retreading plot points from previous entries. To me, I found it like a great homage. It's like this movie celebrates everything that came before it, and so it's just kind of like a mishmash of the best stuff of the previous movies, while other people might think that's a little lazy, especially when a lot of the major plot points feel like it's stuff that we've already seen and done before. And I think at this point, 7 movies in, people just want the new stuff, and there is new stuff, but it's not as huge as you would like. For any of my Alien fans that were big on the more philosophical ideas, heavy themes, and analysis on life that Covenant and Prometheus did so well, this ain't that. Like I said, all the Alien movies have their own things to choose from, but this brings it back down to kind of an extremely awesome B horror movie. So with that, you're not going to get the strongest story or characters out of the 7th films. But really, that's about it. New fans and old fans, I think, are going to be extremely happy. To me, Fede Alvarez just needs to be given every remake or reboot of an old property because he just seems to nail it down. Give him Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever other project he wants to do next, because you could tell he's coming from a fan perspective. And while there's definitely a lot of fanboyish moments in here that you could tell he was big on, the new twist on some older stuff really freshen things up. So with Alien Romulus, I'm gonna give action 3.5 stars. While the beginning is slow paced once the xenomorphs start coming out and they're having to protect themselves, and some really awesome zero gravity sequences, I think you're gonna be pleasantly surprised with the action in here. Comedy in the movie, I'm gonna give it 2 stars. It's not a very funny film. There's some lighthearted humor and this continuous dad jokes that the one android will say throughout the movie that give you a little chuckle. But for the most part, it's played very suspenseful and terrifying, and I like that. Drama in the movie, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. While it's not the strongest story in the Alien franchise, I do think it's a giant achievement to mix in all these elements from the other Alien movies and make it work into one while still adding a bit of new stuff. Horror in the movie, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Man, the xenomorphs look absolutely amazing in here. You also have really grotesque, nasty sequences of people dying. It never goes over the top or too gruesome in your face, but there's enough body horror in here that'll get you squinting your eyes and looking away from the screen a bit. And suspense in the movie, I'm gonna give it 4 stars. A lot of that comes in that final act where I was just on the edge of my seat, but there's a lot of other great, really suspenseful sequences spread throughout the movie. Casual moviegoers, I'm gonna give this an A-. Cinephiles, I'm gonna give it an A+, and critically, I'm going to give it an A-. Alien Romulus to me deserves the 3C guarantee. I'm not gonna lie, I already bought my ticket so I could see it again, and I do think this is my favorite movie of the year so far, as of right now. We're definitely gonna have to talk spoilers once this movie's released, because there's so many sequences I want to talk about in detail with you guys, and so look forward to that. Let me know if you're excited for Alien Romulus and your favorite Alien entry, and look forward to my review on all the other Alien movies. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.